All of a sudden, the major labels were hiring publicists, and they were hiring, people to get the word out about their artists. I was part of a college rep crew for A&M. A&M was a small independent label. They had a lot of great artists, but they had 20 of us kids all over, 20 years old, 19 years old, 18 years old, all over the country at different university campuses, telling the local media and the local radio station there about Peter Frampton and Humble Pie and Cat Stevens and Carole King and Supertramp. When they came out, that was one of the big acts that we broke as college reps. So there was already this structure of, making business out of music. And it's obviously a friction that exists today.
Yeah, I come from the school of thought where I truly believe classic rock was the golden era. I don't think we've had much breakthrough since then. I mean, I'm a massive Zeppelin fan, the Doors, the Who. You lived through that, and then you would have begin to see that deteriorate into the 80s. Can you walk us through what happened exactly, or did it evolve?
I don't know. There's one school of thought that the availability of tools to more people made it easier for more people to make music and more people to make bad music and bad art and whatever. So if you were an artist in the 70s, you had to go into a studio with a producer and an engineer and with your band, and you had to spend hours crafting your record, A Dark Side of the Moon, or any of your classic records. I mean, most of those records were not made in a week. There are some great records that were made in a week, but most of the time people were layering in their tracks, and they were putting it together and spending a lot of money, most of which never got recouped because, you'd have to have a really big seller to recoup all the money that was made. Like Steely Dan, there's a classic example of a band that just spent tons and tons of money on their records, and were not big commercial hits. I mean, they're pretty popular as it is, but not huge. So maybe that's one of the reasons that music started, becoming a little formulaic and a little same sounding. You had the Linn drum machine, you had the clavier, you had all these synthesizer sounds that people were overusing and reusing. And so it took a while for there to be, there was some pushback with punk, obviously, with the punk movement where they didn't want anything polished or anything like that. So, but that was still the late 70s.